Films and fermentation, movies and inebriation. Films and fermentation, comedy mixed with tasty libations. Films and fermentation, with Leo, Kev, Man, and Mike. Films and fermentation, with Leo, Kev, Man, and Mike.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 168. We hope you're able to tune in to our last episode, Celebrity Vampires. We had a lot of fun with that episode, and we are continuing spooky season tonight with this episode, an episode that we should probably be banned from podcasting for even, coming up with this idea, but we're going to do it anyway. As I said, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. We are also the all-time #1 pop culture podcast on Good Pods.
Woohoo!
So thank you to everybody out there supporting the show, helping us get to the #1 spot. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. As I said in this episode, we do the unthinkable so you don't have to. Today we are recasting Young Frankenstein from 1974 for a modern audience. That's right. We're taking Mel Brooks's black and white masterpiece and giving it a 2024 makeover because clearly we've been drinking too much. Who's brave enough or foolish enough to try to fill Gene Wilder's shoes? And can anyone ever replace Marty Feldman's iconic Igor? Grab your torches and pitchforks because this is going to be a wild ride. Let's see if we can raise the cinematic monster from the dead without getting run out of town. Don't forget you can drop
Castle.
Castle. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation. To find all of our social media and podcast links, become part of the Films and Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. You can also text us some comments, some questions or suggestions to 904-867-4466. That's the Films and Fermentation hotline. 904-867-4466.
We'll
And
give
to
you
everybody
a
out
number at the end of the show.
Yeah. And don't forget, or thank you to everybody out there who's purchased my book so far. I really appreciate it. My book is called Isolation. You can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. What are we drinking tonight, gentlemen?
Oh, I'll go first. I'm
Go
very happy.
first. Go ahead.
It's not often that I put any effort into my drinks, but when I do, I really do try
What he
to find
does,
something
he
that
gets sticky.
matches the show. So a quick Google search a few days ago turned up the Abbey Normal. The Abbey Normal is an ounce and a half of gin, a quarter ounce of orange juice, a quarter ounce of Contral, a quarter ounce of Saint Germain's, which is an elderberry liqueur, and a dash of Agnostoro bitters. You take all three, combine in a shaker, shake till chilled, strain into a chilled cocktail glass, and garnish with an orange peel, which I do not have. This virgin is much more to Gwen's liking, with the Contral reinforcing the orange juice and the Saint Germain adding a touch of floral sweetness that helps mellow out the Bombay. So get out your shaker, mix up one of these cocktails, pop Young Frankenstein into the DVD player, and enjoy. So cheers.
I have everything but the St. James.
Saint Germain. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have had it either, except that Megan went on a weird liqueur spree. So we have elderberry liqueur, we have Saint Germain's liqueur. I was surprised we had bitters, but not really, because she really likes a good old fashioned, which is in that. I don't have the actual Contral, but I did have triple sec, which is kind of the same thing.
I got orange liqueur, yeah.
I have gin and Angostura bitters. That's all I have. Never been any of that. Mike, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking an Esslin Night Owl Pumpkin Ale.
Nice. Oh, that's a Elysian.
Elysian. Sorry.
It's Elysian. Yeah, Elysian brewery. Yeah, they're good stuff. They got good
They
stuff.
are good.
Yep.
They have a good fall or autumnal craft beer selection.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
It does
good.
not say what alcohol by volume is, though.
If they're not
Yeah,
going
here
to
it
tell you,
6.7.
okay, I was going to say if they're not going to tell you, you should be worried.
If you pour a little,
I
bit
don't
out
have
in
to
a
get up
glass-
tomorrow morning except to go grocery shopping for
you pour a
yeah.
little bit out in a glass. The darker it is, the heavier it is. The
Yeah.
higher the alcohol.
You can make an educated guess. So I was, disappointed I couldn't drink last week because of my dental surgery and blood work and all that stuff. So I decided to make up for it tonight. So I'm drinking. This is Coke with a healthy, very healthy splash of blackberry moonshine.
So it's a splash of Coke with blackberry moonshine.
I was gonna say it's mostly blackberry moonshine.
So you should have just taken the jar and splashed some Coke in it and be done with it.
Pretty much. I mean, look at the size of the cup. Like that's
I
mostly moonshine.
see.
I have a light day tomorrow. I got to work, but it's okay. Anything special happened this week, Mike?
This week in film history. In 1927, the second 100 years silent short film is released starring Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy, the first Laurel and Hardy film with them appearing as a team.
I can't say I've seen too many Laurel and Hardy films. Like I've seen Abbott and Costello. I've seen the Marx Brothers. Laurel and Hardy's one that I'm a little like
They're a
little
older.
missing out on. Yeah,
I've seen portions. My mom or my mother's mother used to call them her boys. And I know that I've seen Babes in Toyland every summer or every Christmas, I should say, since getting together with Megan because it's one of her favorite, holiday movies. And it's old, but it's always free, and it's very, interesting. So
the only thing I know about Laurel and Hardy is Stan Laurel when he was on his deathbed. His final words were, "Dying's easy. Comedy, that was really hard." What's the next one you got there, Mike?
1956, Giant, directed by George Stevens, starring Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson, and James Dean. In his last role, premieres in New York City.
Yeah, that's I remember that fact that it's James Dean's last role. He had a posthumous Oscar nomination for this movie. What's your next one, sir?
1963, From Russia with Love, second James Bond film based on the novels by Ian Fleming, starring Sean Connery and Daniela Benici. Benici?
I love hearing Mike try to pronounce Italian names and Russian names and Chinese and German names.
Premieres in London.
Daniela Bianchi.
Bianchi.
Bianchi. You know what Bianchi means?
White.
It means white. Daniela White. Yeah.
At least I know what the meaning is.
Yeah. So this is the second one. So was Goldfinger the third one then?
Probably
Because I mean, like, yeah, I've seen Dr. No a few times and I've seen Goldfinger a million times, but I know From Russia with Love is like one of the ones I have only seen maybe once or twice. Next one, sir.
1980 comedy film Private Benjamin is released starring Goldie Hawn.
I had a hard time watching that film. I know it was a pretty big hit in 1980 and it got a lot of award nominations and stuff, but I was like,
it had its own TV series later.
Had a TV series based on it, I know, but I was like, I tried watching the movie and I checked out a little bit watching it. I don't know why. Okay. I got a few things to say about the next one, so I'll let you read it first.
Speaking of checking out,
yeah.
1992 action thriller film Under Siege, directed by Andrew Davis, starring Steven Seagal, in his most famous role, is released.
you special ops or something? I'm a
He's
cook.
he's the cook on a submarine or on a battleship, and he's the captain likes him. That's why he's there as the cook. But he is actually a special ops guy. So when Tommy Lee Jones and Cuckoo Chew try to take over the ship, he fights the back and all that stuff. It does have a great death scene because he stabs Tommy Lee Jones in the head with a knife. It is probably his best movie. That's saying a lot for Steven Seagal.
That's not saying a lot.
I was gonna say it broke a streak of movies with 3-word titles. His first 3 movies were Above the Law, Marked for Death, Hard to Kill, and Out for Justice were his first 4 movies. But here's the thing that I love. Kev, I got to thank you for introducing me to the Bad Movies Rule podcast. It is phenomenal. It is a really funny podcast, and I need to reach out to those guys and try to collaborate with them because they are funny. But they review a really bad movie every episode, and then at the end they give out awards. And the one award they give out is called the Trash Can Full of Dirt, named after Steven Seagal. And so they go, it's about the time we give out the Trash Can Full of Dirt, named for the great actor Steven Seagal. And then they play a clip from one of his movies, and he goes, it's something like they live forever, and forever is a long time. It's like this really bad line, and it's so funny. And I'm like, I've been wanting to say thank you for introducing me to that podcast because they're really funny.
It's good, and the movies they do, it's like Police Academy 2 definitely need.
I've burned through about a dozen episodes already, and I think so they did Police Academy 2. I listened to that one. The one I listened to today was The Wizard. The one with Savage.
Nintendo sponsored one.
Yeah, they did Street Fighter. That was a good one. The next one they're doing tomorrow. I can't remember what it was, but it's a really good one. I can't wait to listen to it. What's your last one you got there, Mike?
In 2017, Thor Ragnarok, directed by Taika Waititi, starring Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, and Kate Blanchett, premieres in Los Angeles, California.
Not arguably, the best Thor solo movie. Love and Thunder was a tough pill to swallow. And the first 2 were just they were okay.
Like the first one was there to set them up for the bigger story.
And I like the first one. Don't get me wrong. I like the first one. Second one kind of like meh.
Dark World
Ragnarok was like amazing.
And a lot of it was Taika Waititi coming in, writing the script, directing it, and all that. Plus playing what was the Rock guy's name? Korg. Korg was really. Oh wait, Ghost!
Just the beginning where he's spinning while he's
rock,
catching.
paper, scissors.
Hold on. Coming back around. All right.
He's got scissors for hands. He always wins at rock, paper, scissors. I tried starting a revolution once and have enough pamphlets. But yeah, he's great. He's great at it. Chris Hemsworth is really good.
I know him.
Also, yeah. That's the best scene is when he fights the Hulk in the arena, and he's like, "I know him. He's a friend from work." Kate Blanchett looking exceptionally hot as the villain. Yeah, it's a good one. You have any must-try beer or craft destination for us tonight, Mike?
I've got a craft destination from Missouri, Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri. Founded in 1989 by John McDonald, had been inspired by the flavorful variety of beers he encountered while traveling through Europe. Boulevard has since become the largest specialty brewery in the Midwest. Its beers are now sold in 40 states across the U.S. Stop by the beer hall to sample its regular, seasonal, and special release beers. Then drop by the gift shop, enjoy delicious fare, and tour the brewery. At the Recreation Center, Take 7 Farmhouse Ale is one of the Boulevard's 4 famous brews. There you go. Another place for us to visit on a road trip.
Road trip keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm looking at the headlines that Kevin posted on the show notes here, and I could finally say for the first time in a while, beer news is really good news tonight.
Beer is good. Beer is good. Beer is good. And stuff. Beer is good. Beer is good. Beer is good. Let's go drink some beer.
Really excited. Really excited about the first one you got on the list there.
I was hoping that I could find on YouTube the Hallelujah, Hallelujah, but my
know,
search
right?
engine is not cooperating because it switches to whatever search engine it wants. So I'm just going to go into it. Ladies and gentlemen, rejoice! Kevin Smith's Dogma is finally free of the Weinsteins. After years under Weinstein control, Kevin Smith can finally clean up on Dogma. Dogma, as you may remember, is one of writer-director Kevin Smith's most beloved and successful films, but it has not been available to buy or stream for nearly 15 years. 15 years!
That's right.
15 years.
Last released for home consumption in 2008, the Dogma Blu-ray cost $125 on Amazon. That person who owns that is about to lose a lot of money. Used copies fetch for about half that, and both are far too high of price for a movie that features Jason Mewes fighting a monster made of turds. Living without near constant access to Dogma has been hell. No, it's been worse than hell. But the clouds are parting, and the sweet embrace of God's light shines upon thee once again. Dogma fans, your prayers have been answered. Appearing on the Hashtag show last week to promote his latest The 4:30 movie, Smith says the movie was bought away from the guy that had it for years and whatnot. When the new rights holder asked if he was interested in re-releasing and touring it like you did with the other of your movies, Smith jumped on the opportunity. I said, 100%. Are you kidding me? Touring a movie that I know people like and it's sentimental and nostalgic will clean up. He said, I think 2025 is when the movement is going to happen there. Back on home video, then back out in theaters, and I'll tour with it. Until very recently, Bob and Harvey Weinstein retained the rights to Dogma. In 2019, Smith tweeted, Dogma is personally owned by Bob and Harvey Weinstein, who bought the film from Disney in 1999 and licensed it to Lionsgate for theatrical and then Sony for home video, but those deals predated streaming and have lapsed. Bummer, as 2019 is the 20th anniversary of our release. Smith reportedly announced that he had been purchased away from the Weinsteins at a June screening of the Clerks animated series at Smith's movie theater, the Smodcastle in New Jersey. Considering that Smith had spent his entire career returning to old character stories and settings, he might even have had more in store for Loki, Bartleby, and Buddy Christ. Maybe, at this point, sequels, TV versions in terms of extending the story. Something we could never have done before. So exciting, man. And all those people who worked on it are still viable. Well, with the exception of one.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, that's a happy story.
That's a great story. And so the Smod Castle is in northern New Jersey, in the town that he grew up in.
Red
That's
Bank.
that's an easy road trip. So that when they do the Dogma showing at the Smod Castle, we need to get tickets because then Kevin Smith will come out and talk about it afterwards, and that's pretty awesome.
I have been to Red Bank at least twice. It's an okay town, small little town. I've gone into Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, fun place. All right, next up on our lineup, women-owned breweries are helping to redefine New England craft beer industry amid the hops and malts. A growing number of women are making their mark on what has been traditionally a male-dominated space. In the United States, just 2.9% of breweries are 100% women-owned. The Pink Boot Society is working to educate and empower women in the beer and beverage industry. Twisted Fate is a family-run and majority women-owned brewery in Danvers. It started from a family love for beer, and now they offer their guests peanut butter stouts and rotating sours. Throwback Brewery is the only 100% woman-owned brewery in New Hampshire, and they use a farm-to-glass approach. The owner's goal is to source all of their ingredients from within 200-mile radius of their Northampton, New Hampshire brewery and restaurant. From pale ale with watermelon to a spicy pilsner with local jalapenos. The name of the game is Farm Fresh. So New Hampshire is branching out and really trying to inspire
Question for you, Kev.
women breweries. Yeah.
You're a teacher, right?
Yes.
So it goes A, B, C, right?
As far as I know.
So
You
why
skip
does
B.
B says, you skip B? But AC.
Mike and I both have the same question. What happened to the man stealing 51 cases of beer?
This is beer.
Oh. So here's the thing.
Not that I don't want to support women-owned
Yeah,
breweries.
we
All
watch
right,
I
all right.
really
No,
want
it's
to
okay.
know how to.
It's
how this
okay,
guy's
you
supposed-
sexist fiends. I'll go
We just
into
had
it.
I just want to know
Here's the
how he
thing.
did it so I can try it.
On my computer. When I open the tabs up, I open them up and they're along the top, right? And I go from one to the other, and I don't open them in the same order that they are in the show notes because who gives a fuck? So they open up in their own discretion, and I just click on one and then click on the next one next to it, and now I'm clicking on the third one. So here's your man steals 51 cases story.
The show notes
misogynist
clearly
pig.
state at number 2.
You misogynist pig.
I'm not a
Here's what you need
misogynist.
to
I'm an
hear.
entrepreneur. I would like to know how this guy
Yeah.
did it.
Hey, I
Here's
get
what
some
you
free
need to
beer
hear.
too.
With your manliness, your testosterone. Man steals 51 cases of beer from an 18-wheeler, police say. This is out of Memphis, Fox News Memphis. A man stole 51 cases of beer from a semi-truck at an Exxon gas station, according to the Memphis Police Department. The 18-wheeler was parked at an Exxon gas station on Summer Avenue around 6 a.m. on the 1st of October when the beer bandit carried out the heist, the police said. When the truck driver walked out of the store and returned to his truck, the thirsty thief was unloading the boxes out of his truck. The truck driver confronted the thief. The man threatened the truck driver before taking off in a silver minivan without tags and missing a hubcap.
Sounds about right.
Memphis Police Department said the same man is thought to be responsible for several other truck burglaries across the city. If you have any idea who the man is, contact the Memphis Police Department or call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-2274. And if you guys are remembering, the Philadelphia area has had their own truck thieves from, I think there was bags of dimes to seafood out of the Northeast Walmart area.
When I saw the headline and I opened up the article, I really thought it was going to say Florida.
It seems like a Florida story.
It seems like a Florida man story. I do like the moniker, the beer bandit.
The beer bandit.
And that
So
it's your beer news is movie news.
It was actually a good beer news night tonight. Yeah, we're nothing too depressing. We'll take a quick break with this ad from Coffee Brothers, and we come back. We're doing our main segment tonight, the unthinkable segment, recasting Young Frankenstein. We'll be right back.
I love a good beer, but right now I can use a good cup of coffee.
Have you heard about Coffee Brothers?
Oh yeah, they're that coffee company out of New York, right?
Well, they're more like a coffee wizards of New York City. They source these amazing seasonal blends and single origin coffees. It's like a flavor adventure in every cup. And get this, they roast everything in small batches. None of that mass-produced stuff. It's like each bean gets the VIB treatment.
VIB?
Very important bean.
Sounds fancy, but is it worth it?
Definitely. Plus, they're a two-person team. I mean, that's dedication right there. Two brothers, one mission to caffeinate the world. And right now, you can save 10% on your order. I mean, who doesn't love a good discount?
All right, you've convinced me. Let's get some Coffee Brothers now.
Coffee Brothers, where every cup is a sip of perfection. Save 10% on your next order with the code FNF10. That's FNF10. Cheers to great coffee. We're back from our quick little break where we were talking about Kevin's shitty situation over off the air.
Getting old rocks.
I have a dishonorable mention from last week's episode about the celebrity vampires. One that I forgot until I heard another podcast talking about it, and I was like, "Wow, that's a really good one." Van Helsing.
Ooh.
A terrible, terrible movie. That's Hugh
Richard-
Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman
as Van Helsing. You had Kate Beckinsale as the Romanian princess.
Mm-hmm.
Some over-the-top actor as Dracula.
Richard Attenborough?
I don't think Richard Attenborough was in it. No, he wasn't in it.
It's Richard.
Leo and I
Richard
went to the theater and saw this.
Yeah, Mike and I went to the theater solely because Kate Beckinsale was in it.
Richard
and walked out of the
Burrow.
Yeah,
Richard
we walked out of the theater going, man, even Kate Beckinsale couldn't save that piece of shit.
Neither could the female vampires.
Yeah, neither could all the bustiers. That was a bad movie. That'll go on our list of bad movies of high budget films with bad CGI.
Or would you pronounce it Richard Roxburgh? Burgh.
So the guy that was the monk guy was funny through the whole thing.
Yeah, the monk guy. He's the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
David Wenham.
Fryer.
Yeah. He was pretty good. All right, so our main segment this evening, we are recasting Young Frankenstein. It's been a while since we've done a recasting episode, at least a straight recasting episode, not one with the Muppets. I thought of one. What if we did like a reverse recast one episode where we cast human actors playing the Muppet characters?
You mean like the Great Muppet Caper and you have actors representing the Muppet? I could do that.
Yeah, I thought of it because I saw Nicole Kidman recently and I was like, why does she look like Janice from Dr. Teeth in the Electric
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
That would not be too hard of a job to do.
Yeah.
Did
anyway, our...
oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I sent you guys a link to Fleetwood Mac as Muppets.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah. So anyway, our actual recasting tonight is the 1974 Mel Brooks Gene Wilder classic, Young Frankenstein. If you've not seen Young Frankenstein, you're probably too young to be listening to the show.
It's past your bedtime.
Past your bedtime.
Yes, it is.
I just watched it again the other night for the 800th time. I didn't have a themed drink this evening, but I am wearing my Gene Wilder T-shirt that says "Sedative" on it. This was an interesting one to try to recast. I had some fun with it. I had to get my wife to help me with it. She disagreed with some of my picks, so I have a couple like picks on my list that were ones that she wanted.
This was a struggle. This was a struggle.
Some of them.
I would say at least half of them were a struggle. Half of them were okay. Half of them were a struggle. Marty Feldman is just impossible to.
So I'll tell you the ones that I knew for certain that I wanted. I knew who I wanted for Igor. That was the first one I casted.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew who I wanted for Inspector Kemp. That was one of the first ones I casted, but then I changed my mind on that one. And I knew who I wanted.
I knew who I wanted for Frau Buka.
And I knew who I wanted for Inga. And I had that one. That one was easy. The rest of them, Frankenstein himself, the Gene Wilder role, was the hardest one. I had so much trouble figuring
Igor, I think, was my hardest.
Igor?
Recast.
No problem.
I'll give you a hint on my Igor. I cast it solely on the eyes. All I did was I used the eyes. That's all I did. So Mike had suggested. We kind of do like we did the last time. We go like backwards and save the monster and Frederick Frankenstein for like the end.
Okay.
So we'll do the other characters first. So the other characters are Igor, Inspector Kemp. So Igor was played by Marty Feldman in the original film. Inspector Kemp, who was played by Kenneth Mars. Frau Blucher, who was Cloris Leachman. Elizabeth, who was played by Madeline Kahn. Inga, who was played by Terry Garr, and the blind man, who was played by Gene Hackman in an uncredited role. The monster, of course, was Peter Boyle and Frederick Frankenstein. Frederick was played by
Frederick?
Gene Wilder.
Frederick.
So you know what I laughed like really hard at the other night when I was watching this, and I've seen the movie a million times, but I still laugh at certain things like all the time. It's when they're walking through the catacomb after they discover the door. You know, they discover the library door,
Dicando
And-
Buck.
and they're walking through the thing, and you see like the skulls, and it's like 6 years dead, and then it's freshly dead, and it's Igor. And he's like, I ain't got nobody. He sings the whole
And
song.
Nobody's got me. Cha-cha-cha-cha.
But the thing that makes me laugh is Gene Wilder goes, Igor, and he goes, Frederick. It just made me laugh so much. So who should we start with then?
Let's start with Fra. Let's start with Seven and go Eric.
Frau Blucher.
Are we
Yeah,
not
start
hitting
with-
the blind man?
He's
We
our
will do the
bonus.
blind man. Yeah. Well, I just said who should we start with first, and Mike suggested Frau Blucher.
All right,
So
fine.
I'm
Go
okay
with
it.
Mike. No,
Yeah, we could do the blind man next. We could do like
Whatever.
an actress, actor. So we're not like doing all the actresses at once.
Okay.
So Frau Blucher, who was played by Cloris Leachman. Mike really likes his choice. I'm going to let Mike go first since this was his suggestion. Who is your Frau Blucher?
I had to go with somebody who is up there with Cloris Leachman. So I went with Meryl Streep.
Good call.
Meryl Streep as Frau Blucher. That's interesting. I'm trying to imagine.
I think
her.
she'd have a lot of fun with
Like
it. I can see her having a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
I would say like even in roles where like she knows it's not a serious film and she doesn't have to put the effort in, she still puts the effort in.
Yeah.
So like I think of like that Don't Look Up film. You know, she was playing a really silly role as the president in that movie, and she did it. She was probably one of the best parts of it.
Yeah. She
So
doesn't
I can see
phone
that.
it in.
Yeah, I can see it like thinking of like Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
You know, like she's done comedy in the past, so I can see Meryl Streep. That'd be an interesting one.
Mhm.
That would be a major get for a reboot because that's like
Yeah.
such a side character part.
Yeah, but
that's pretty
Cloris
cool.
Leachman is
Yeah.
that had to be a get
She was
for
an
them.
Oscar. She was an Oscar winner when she did that film too. So,
Yeah. That had to be a major get for them to get her for that role.
but then you think like later in her career, she was doing movies like Beer Fest. So I don't think Cloris Leachman really like turned things down that often.
No.
Kev, who do you have for Frau Blucher?
For Frau Blucher, I was racking my brain and thought who could pull this off, and I went with Catherine O'Hara.
Ooh, I like
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Nice.
I just
a little bit
saw,
off of the shit's
you're coming off of Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's
Yeah.
Creek.
Speaking of shit, yeah.
Fold it in, David.
I also was thinking I just saw Beetlejuice.
Oh, how was it?
It was okay. It wasn't. I mean, the first one obviously is better. This one, it was okay. It had some funny moments. But Catherine O'Hara is great in it. She's always
Mhm.
she's great in everything. So
Yeah.
that's a really good.
I think pull this off very well.
Yeah. So I went a little younger, but I went with somebody who could play older because she has played so many different characters anyway. So I went with SNL alumnus and really, really funny lady who can play millions of characters, Kate McKinnon
Ooh,
as my Frau Blucher.
she
Okay.
would work.
I'm sorry, I have the ability to show pictures because I have
Yes.
control of the recordings. So
Mhm.
there was
Oh,
my picture of
we
Kate
can
McKinnon.
share our screens too, but you know.
You can
You
share it if you want. Yeah, I don't care.
just
I just have mine.
Well, I'm not
Already-
prepared.
Yeah, mine's
Yeah,
are ready
One
to
that
be
we can
told.
do
So.
a show and tell.
The problem is like I don't want to like know your answers, or otherwise I would have had like pictures set up for yours too. But like I don't want to know your answers. I want to try to like either guess them or hear them for the first time. So yeah, I went with Kate McKinnon. I just watched the whole series of her on Saturday Night Live. It was the skit she did where she's the she is somebody who's experienced a UFO abduction, and it's with Ryan Gosling, and it is so funny. And I'm like, that's my Frau Blucher right there. I know she can do that role. All right. So Mike had Meryl Streep,
Mhm.
Kevin had Catherine O'Hara, and I had Kate McKinnon. And I think three of them are really good choices for that role.
Mhm.
Who should we go to next? Let's do the blind man next, since that was the one Kevin wanted to do.
Yes.
So Kev, you can start with that one.
For the blind man, I thought having somebody popular but in like a very side role would be fun. So I went with George Clooney.
Okay.
You know what? If you put the beard on him and the long-haired wig
Mm-hmm.
and just told him ham it up, I think he can do it.
Yeah.
I definitely
you
think he
think
could
of
do it.
Oh Brother Where Art Thou, you think of the comedies that he's been in. He can pull this off. It's a small part.
I think of like if you've seen him in like Oh Brother Where Art Thou
Mm-hmm.
or like The Men Who Stare at Goats, like
Mm-hmm.
he can play that sort of like off kilter role a
Hail.
little bit. Hail Caesar, yeah, I think that's a good one.
Mhm.
So I'll go next. I had one and Katie had one, and we were very differing in opinions on this. She wanted Bill Murray for hers, and I had originally had Bill Murray down there, and I'm like, yeah, but I feel like he's done one too many cameos recently, and I haven't been like too excited by too many of them.
Right.
I went with somebody that I thought a different actor for a role like this, but who can be funny just based on his performance in Million Ways to Die in the West. And I thought it would be really funny to have this guy in my film, so I have Liam Neeson as my blind man. I
Gentlemen,
feel like Liam Neeson can match Gene Hackman's energy.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, what do you got?
you both have very good selections, but I
Yes.
think mine's going to top it.
Okay.
I went with Samuel L. Jackson
That's the blind man.
as the blind man.
Where you going, motherfucker? I was gonna make espresso. Mute. Incredibly large motherfucking mute.
Have some soup.
Look what I got here. Motherfucking cigars.
Say again. Say
Say
on
once
again.
again, motherfucker. I dare you. I double dare you. No, you know, it'd be funny. You know, he's praying to God at the beginning before the monster
Mhm.
shows up. You know, you got Samuel Jackson leaning against the bed going, Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous is set on all sides.
See, I told you, Sam Jackson.
I don't know if it's the best one, but it's the one you can have the most fun with. Nobody chose Arnold for the blind man.
No.
Where you going? I was going to make espresso. All right, I guess I should choose the next one then, since
Yep.
you guys did those. All right, so we did Frau Bluche and we did the blind man. So I guess we'll go back to another female character. I really like my Inga, so I'm going to go with Inga first. So this is the Terry Garr character who was Dr. Frankenstein's assistant. You know, we would help him with experiments in the laboratory, and we would have philosophical discussions. Well, just now we were. So I'm going to go with Inga. And for my Inga, I said, you know what? Terry Garr was a very attractive blonde. I need another attractive blonde for my Inga character. So I went with Brie Larson.
Ooh, good choice. Good choice.
Good choice.
I think
Good
she's
choice.
very attractive. She's about the same age as Terry Garr was when she played the character. And I don't see her in comedies too often. I'd like to see her in a comedy. I don't really think I've seen her in one since like Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she can do it. I think she has that comedic bone in her. So that would bring it back to Mike then.
So I didn't go with a blonde. Should have,
I didn't
but
say you had to, but you know.
I went with someone who's been known for comedies. Very good looking woman. I went with Zoe Deschanel.
You know, that was Katie's suggestion.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's been blonde. She's been blonde before. She was blonde in Elf.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
blonde before, but
She
You know-
could be blonde.
I think she could do all the little
Yeah, the little quirks.
quirks that go wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. Plus, she's adorable.
She is adorable.
So Brie Larson as Zoe Deschanel, and Kevin, you're Inga.
My Inga. Sorry, Mike. I'm trying to diversify a little bit here.
I did with Samuel L. But okay, motherfucker.
I will let you know. My cast is as white as the driven snow. I have no
Mine is
diversity.
My Inga is Karen Fukuhara
From The Boys.
The Boys. I think she would make a great Inga, especially playing off of who I have for Frederick Frankenstein.
Plus, it'd be
I think
really
it
fun to
worked
see a Korean girl speak with a German accent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Karen Fukunaga. That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then back around to you, Mike. Who's the next character we're gonna go with?
I think we're gonna go to Inspector Kemp, the keep it boy girl.
Inspector Kemp.
And I went
Hello,
with
Spinach grandfather's footsteps.
Push up, push up, push up.
Inspector Kemp, who was played by Kenneth Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Daniel Bruhl.
Daniel Bruhl. So,
Bruhl.
what's his name? Zemo
Zemo,
from
yeah.
from the MCU.
Yep.
So you decided to go with let's stick with the German.
Stick with the German. He could only be straight enough as it is and do the. I think he can
I
do
don't
it.
know if I've ever seen him in a comedy. I think doing an MCU film is probably the closest I've seen to him being in like a comedy.
Yeah, but you know, the Inspector's is comedic, but he's a straight man comedic.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can play the straight.
Takes himself seriously. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you saw him in a comedy in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where he was dancing in the
Dancing in the
mosh pit.
nightclub.
You know.
Okay. All right. I've been proven wrong. Kev, so who's your choice for the Inspector?
I haven't even heard yours, Lee, but I think I win this one. I went with Simon Pegg.
I thought about Simon Pegg. I actually thought about Simon Pegg. I thought about Simon Pegg for a different character.
Did you? I think,
I
and I know it's kind of a repeat of Hot Fuzz, but I just think he'd do the part justice.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Simon Pegg. I like it. I like Simon Pegg. So,
Yeah.
So for me, my original choice was trumped by Katie's choice. Katie had the better
Trump?
with the ED, the verb version.
Oh,
So
okay.
my original choice, I eschewed for Katie's choice because hers was way better than mine. So this is all Katie. My original choice was Steve Carell, based on the Gru character that he plays in Despicable Me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Katie really took the ball and ran with it on this one because she suggested Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You lost,
I think that is, and you know, because he can play the character because he's played characters like it already.
Yep.
He's definitely a comedic actor, but he can take himself seriously in a comedic role. So I think Sacha Baron Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think I won that one.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Mine was good.
Katie
Yours was better.
did. Katie did.
won
That was all. That was all Katie. I had, that was her idea.
Yep.
So it is back to Kevin now to choose the next character.
Well, we're doing boy, girl, just like not Gene Kelly. Who am I thinking of? The guy that used to beat his kids with the oranges.
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby. Thank you. We're doing Bing Crosby.
You put him in a
It's
sock.
actually boy, girl. So we'll go with Elizabeth.
Yep.
And
Played originally by the legendary Madeline
Kahn with
This one was
flames
tough.
on the side of her face.
This was a hard one to replace because how do you replace Madeline Kahn?
This was tough. But I think Rachel McAdams would do this really well.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see her pulling this off and doing a very uppity, in love with, but uppity and playing off of the person I have for Frankenstein very, very well.
And now that you
because
mentioned
that had to be a part of it.
You mentioned Rachel McAdams, and I thought of somebody else I could have chosen for this instead of a person I did choose. I always confuse Rachel McAdams with this other person sometimes. So, but I like Rachel McAdams. I think it's a good choice.
Thank you.
So for me, now that you've mentioned Rachel McAdams, I thought, oh man, I could have put Emily Blunt in this part. That would have been a really good choice, but I didn't go with her because I didn't even think of her. So the person I actually went with, somebody who is a good comedic actress who's good at ad-libbing, who can play different characters, and who could also be serious when she needs to be, and is really quirky. So I went with Aubrey Plaza.
Good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Good choice.
Now in Agatha All Along as well.
All Along, yeah.
And yeah, she's such a quirky personality, even in real life,
Mhm.
that I think she would be a pretty good choice for it.
Her
Although,
stuff on Parks and Rec really,
yeah,
you
oh
know,
yeah,
yeah.
she's great. And so I think she can do it. Yeah. So Mike, who do you got?
So I also went with a comedic actress
Mm-hmm.
who could be that uppity which she wants to be. I went with Tina Fey.
Okay. I
Okay.
almost used her for Frau Blucher. I had it. It was like up between McKinnon and Fey, or not Tina Fey. I was thinking of Kristen Wiig for Frau Blucher, but Tina Fey, yeah,
Mhm.
Tina Fey could definitely do that part.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
could do the part.
She did it a part very similar to that in the recent Kenneth Branagh movie. What was it Haunting in Venice?
Mm.
She's in that film, and she plays a character that's kind of like that Elizabeth character a little bit. So I could see that working.
Again, that was probably the hardest. The
Yeah,
hardest
it was
for
a
me.
tough one.
Besides,
That was a tough one.
besides Frankenstein.
Yeah,
Who'd you have, Lee? Who'd you choose?
I had Aubrey Plaza for Elizabeth.
That's right.
Mhm. All right. So it's back to me then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So
Boy.
we did all the women. We did the blind man. We did Inspector Kemp.
Oh,
So
you
I
got
guess we should move. We should move to
Done the
Igor
women.
then, right?
Igor.
So I guess we're moving to Igor. Kevin already guessed it earlier when I made a joke about how I use the eyes for my casting. So
Shammy.
Igor goes to Steve Buscemi.
Good choice.
You had to see me
yeah,
scrolling through pictures on Google to find like the right picture to use. Like I mean, I tried to find like the most googly-eyed picture I could find.
Mhm.
So that's my
Good
Igor.
choice.
I know Steve Buscemi can do the funny roles because he's done a lot of Adam Sandler films. He's got the eyes. You know, it's Steve Buscemi for me. I didn't think of anybody else. That was like I was the first character I casted because that was immediately where I was going. So Mike, you're next.
This
Then.
one's close to my first. Meryl Streep was my first one, but this one was pretty close. This guy doesn't have the eyes, but he can make the eyes, and he's
Okay.
hilarious in everything he does. Taika Waititi
Taika
is
Waititi.
Igor. Taika Waititi.
I can see Taika Waititi as Igor. You do Igor with the New Zealand accent. Walk this way. Actually, he does a little bit of a different accent in What We Do in the Shadows, so he can probably pull off the Igor. I like Taika Waititi. It's a good one. And I think, yeah. I mean, the eyes aren't like everything with the character, but it's I immediately went to the eyes.
Mine's more with the whole thing with the hump moving. I think he would be great.
Yeah, and I think it would be like if Korg were a live action character, it would be Igor. Cav, who do you got for Igor?
It looks like Kevin's feeling down from our two picks.
No.
Oh.
Just we got realizations coming in. That's all. So Igor was a struggle for me because, like I said, Marty Feldman is a tough act to follow, and I wasn't thinking so much his physical appearance as much his comedy and sidekickiness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I thought of sidekicks, when I thought of comedic sidekicks, I thought of Josh Gad, who played Beauty and the Beast. He was Gaston's
LeFou.
LeFou,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But he's played that sidekick character quite often, and he can be goofy and he can be funny. And I thought that was a good choice for Igor. Very original choice,
Mhm.
Good choice.
So, mhm.
No, I like that because then it's also like a different like physicality too. So it's like a different version of Igor and not just
Yep.
casting for the eyes like I did. You're casting for the comedic talent instead.
I mean, it was tough. It was tough coming up with him, on my own
Yeah.
and trying to figure out who fit
No,
the
this is
part. So
overall this assignment that I gave us
It was tough.
it
was
a
tough.
struggle.
It was hard to do. This is a movie that's like, we talk so much about films that should never be remade. This is one of them.
Mhm.
So trying to come up with a cast for this was definitely tough. But
The worst part about
Um,
this is my students in film appreciation are watching this movie right now, and I cannot contribute to any form of conversation with them.
Oh,
they would name all TikTok stars. So,
Probably.
sorry. So that was Igor. So, Mike, you're choosing the next one.
it would be the monster, since we're leaving.
That would be the monster.
And as I told Lee, there's definitely one better than mine, but I refuse to cast him in anything. So I do not have Will Ferrell as my monster. I do have Bruce Campbell as my monster.
Oh, I like that. I like Bruce Campbell. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Put down that man.
Put it down, that man.
Give me some sugar, baby. I'll take Bruce Campbell in any role in any movie. That's a good one. I like that one. That's a really good one. So Mike said he's not doing Will Ferrell, even though he would probably fit the role really well. He refused to cast Will Ferrell. And I said, I just saw it. There was an episode of Drunk History recently that he was the monster and Seth Rogen was Dr. Frankenstein in the Drunk History version of the Frankenstein monster story. So, Kev, who do you have for the monster?
For the monster, I chose Dwayne Johnson. He can do it. He can do it. Yes.
He can do it.
He can do
He's
it.
done
Yeah,
comedy. He can do it.
he can
Listen,
do
you
it.
can see the monster giving everybody eyebrow.
Duba, Duba. Seen him
Put
do
that
the
man down.
numbers. Put that man down.
It doesn't matter what you do. Put that man down. All right. So, oddly enough, I also went the wrestler turned actor route.
You went with.
Batista.
I did not go with Dave Bautista. No, I did not go with Dave
I'm
Bautista.
about to say he's about half the size Dave Bautista used to be. So.
No, I went with somebody who is tall, imposing, but can be goofy and funny when he needs to be, and already has a flat head. John Cena. John Cena is my monster.
Okay.
So that brings us to the last one here, the one that was the toughest one. I went through so many actors on this one.
Oh yes, I did.
Friedrich Frankenstein. So Kevin, you're going first on this one. Who is your Dr. Frankenstein?
Oh, gentlemen, it's going to be a different movie with this guy, but I think it'll be equally as good. He's one of our celebrity vampires.
Nicolas Cage.
No. I went with
Paul Rudd.
yeah.
I don't think it'll be a different movie with him. I think it would be pretty funny.
Yeah. I
think
mean,
he
I
would be
know
really
he
funny in
can
it.
pull it off. He's going to bring the Paul Rudd to it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he brings the Paul Rudd to everything, but I would love it though if he tried to mimic the appearance a little bit and do like the wild hair and the mustache and all that. I would like to see that on Paul Rudd, but no, I think it's a good one. I like Paul Rudd. Yeah, it would be a very ruddy performance. So, Mike, I hope I'm not stepping all over you here because I had so many choices I went through before I landed on my final one.
Hope not.
So, my original choice was Ryan Gosling because I know he could do the comedic stuff. I was thinking mostly of his turn as Beavis on the Beavis and Butthead SNL skit, which was really funny. And then I said, nah, I think I'm going to go with. Instead, I went with. I then changed my mind to Bill Hader. Because I'm like, I know Bill Hader can do voices. He's very funny. He's really good at impersonating people. And I was like, do I really want to go with him? No, I want to do somebody different who I know could be funny. And I've seen him in so many different roles that I know he can do this if he really put his mind to it. And I decided to go British with mine. So my Dr. Frankenstein is David Tennant.
You did not step all over me on that one.
I didn't screw you over.
I didn't even think of David Tennant for some. I should have.
Yeah,
that's a good sham choice.
I think he would be a really good Dr. Frankenstein.
I thought of somebody who is funny,
Mhm.
Could play the scared parts where he was scared. Could
Mhm.
play a lot of the parts that Gene did. Can't be Gene, but can do a lot of similar things that Gene did. I'm going with Jim Parsons.
Oh, okay. So Sheldon
Yes.
would be your Young Frankenstein.
I can see him getting upset and doing this and doing that.
Mhm.
It could work.
That would be interesting.
I don't know him in much else from
He
Big
has a
Bang
couple.
Theory.
He had, besides the
Really
one,
like to
he
put him
has
in there, but I mean, he could work out. Yeah.
a few things like on Netflix and stuff like that.
He's in that movie Hidden Figures. Yeah, he's in.
Yeah,
He's
I
got a
think I
small
know
role
him
in that
from
role.
that.
He's pretty good in
And
that.
I know
Yeah.
him from Garden State, and I know him from The Big Bang Theory, and that's it.
I've seen him clips of him in a play he did on Broadway. That was a much different role.
He
So
was
I think
doing
he could
something.
do really good.
Was it on Netflix or HBO? I forget what it was called. I think it was about Vegas.
Okay.
I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah,
What
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I could see it in my head.
Yeah,
And it was a real different role for him because he was
it was
like
a real different role. Yeah, he was more.
cursing a lot and everything. It was like really like I was like surprised by it.
He was a real straight. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of the movie. I'll have to look that up later. So just to recap. So my Frankenstein was David Tennant. My monster was John Cena. My Igor is Steve Buscemi. My Kemp is Sacha Baron Cohen. My Frau Blucher is Kate McKinnon. My Elizabeth is Aubrey Plaza. My Inga is Brie Larson. And the blind man is Liam Neeson. And Mike, yours was?
My Dr. Frankenstein was Jim Parsons. The monster was Bruce Campbell. My Igor was Taka Waititi. My Inspector Kemp was Daniel Bruh. My Inga was Zoe Deschanel. My Elizabeth was Tina Fey. My Frau Bruca was Meryl Streep. Jesus Christ, how much have I been to drink? And my blind man was motherfucker Samuel L. Jackson.
And Kev, yours were?
My Frodrick Frankenstein was Paul Rudd. My monster was Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Igor would be played by Josh Gad. Inspector Kemp would be played by Simon Pegg. Inga from the very underused Karen Fukuhara. Elizabeth being played by Rachel McAdams. Frau Blucher being portrayed by Catherine O'Hara. And the blind man by George Clooney.
I think we all had some pretty interesting casts for this tonight. It was fun. Let me bring my notes back up here. Mike, you have any beer trivia or history for us this evening?
I got a beer fun fact. Beer is good for your heart and arteries. Studies have proven that modern consumption can lower the risk of cardiovascular disease by 25% compared with the risk faced by non-beer drinkers.
Why does everybody tell us drinking is so bad? The last few facts you brought us had like beer solving ulcers, and now it's like
It's bad for
bringing
your
down
liver.
bringing. Yeah. Well, so is taking too much ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And if you take the two of them, that's even
Yeah.
worse.
We have a cinema quote of the week.
I could try to do a impression. I'll try. In Hollywood, brides keep the bouquets and throw away the grooms. By Groucho Marx.
Groucho Marx. I love Groucho Marx. I love the Marx Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Night at the Opera recently, and there's a great scene where
Good for you. Good for me.
he's hugging this woman, and she's like, "Hold me closer, closer, closer." And he's like, "I hug you any closer, I'm going to be behind you."
In this contract, the party of the first pot shall be known as the party of the first pot. I
The
don't know
body
like
of the
that.
second pot. I know,
Let's
like
just get rid of it. What are you down to? 3 inches. Oh, I got about 2.5.
Yeah, he keeps ripping the cup. That was
You
from.
can't fool me. There is no sanity clause.
That's from Duck Soup.
That's true.
How are our drinks this evening?
Very
Delicious.
pumpkin. Loved
Yes, we all. It looks like we all went for seconds during the break earlier. So
Yes.
I really enjoyed my cup
Yeah.
of moonshine with a splash of Coke.
Some of us
I will
don't have
never.
to get up in the morning, so it's okay.
I will have to get up in the middle of the night, but this will make it a little bit easier, I hope. I will never turn away anything with gin.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight for episode 168, the recasting of Young Frankenstein. Please send us some messages on either Gmail or on our phone number or whatever to let us know who you think had the best cast for tonight's episode. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation. Find all of our social media podcast links. Or send us a text at 904-867-4466. We'd love to hear from you. Next week, we are going to continue with our spooky season series of episodes. Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between Pickleman and Fermented for episode 169. We're going to be talking about movie witches. We did celebrity vampires recently. Now it's time to talk about the witches and warlocks. It's going to be a whole Harry Potter episode.
Which is an Eastwick.
Witch is the Eastwick. Yeah, we got
Teen Witch.
Teen Witch.
Stop that.
The
Stop
worst witch. You got the worst witch. That's a
The
great
worst
one, man.
witch.
Got the Warlock.
Yeah. So yeah, make sure you drop by next week to hear our witches episode. In the meantime, I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
This has been the Films of Fermentation podcast, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.